strength, not your resources. It is your trust in God. When everything around you is collapsing, when people betray you, when money runs out, when health fails, when doors close, when the future looks dark, there is one unshakable truth that will never abandon you. God is still in control. And when you put your trust in Him, He will fix your situation. Not maybe, not sometimes, not if things align perfectly. No, when you put your whole trust in God, He will act, He will move, He will transform, He will heal, and He will restore what seems broken beyond repair. You see, life has a way of teaching us that we are not as strong as we think we are. One phone call can shake your entire world. One unexpected event can wipe away years of hard work. One betrayal can crush your heart into pieces. One sickness can steal your strength. And in those moments, you discover the limits of human power. But that is not a place of defeat. It is a place of revelation. Because when human power fails, the power of God begins to shine. When your hands cannot hold it together, His hands are more than enough to rebuild what you thought was gone forever. So many people today live with hidden fears, hidden anxieties, hidden frustrations. On the outside, they smile, they talk, they pretend everything is fine. But inside, they are trembling. They don't know how tomorrow will look. They don't know how they will pay their bills. They don't know how to heal from the pain of rejection. They don't know how to overcome the mistakes of yesterday. And yet, the truth is that you were never meant to carry that burden alone. God is not asking you to solve every problem with your limited strength. He is asking you to trust Him. To trust Him enough to hand over the broken pieces of your life and believe that He will make them whole again. Do you know why so many people suffer longer than they should? It's not because God is absent. It's not because God is silent. It's not because God is powerless. It's because they refuse to let go. They keep clutching the pain. They keep clinging to their fears. They keep analyzing their problems as if they can solve them by worrying day and night. But worry is a prison and fear is a thief. The longer you hold on to your problem, the longer you block the hand of God from fixing it. But the moment you say, but I cannot carry this anymore, I place it into your hands, I trust you with it, that is the moment His power begins to move in ways you cannot imagine. Think of the situations in your life that you thought were permanent. The moments you said, this is it. I will never rise again. I will never smile again. I will never recover. And yet somehow you are still here. Somehow you are still breathing. Somehow the pain that should have destroyed you became the very ground where your strength was born. That is the fingerprint of God. That is the proof that your story is not in the hands of men, not in the hands of circumstances, but in the hands of God Almighty. But hear me clearly, trust is not passive. Trust is not sitting down, doing nothing, and waiting for God to deliver everything on a silver plate. Trust is active faith. Trust is surrender with expectation. Trust is saying, God, I don't see the way, but I believe you are making one. I don't feel strong, but I know you are my strength. I don't have the answers, but I know you are wisdom itself. I don't see the resources, but I know you are my provider. That kind of trust turns fear into courage, confusion into clarity, and impossibility into possibility. There are many people today who are imprisoned by the opinions of others. They worry about who left them, who betrayed them, who didn't support them. They waste energy crying over doors that closed, relationships that ended, opportunities that slipped away. But listen carefully, when God allows something to close, it is because He is preparing something better. If you trust God, you will stop crying over what left and start rejoicing over what's coming. Because God never subtracts without adding. He never removes without replacing. He never allows an ending without preparing a new beginning. When you trust God, you stop panicking about the timing. So many people are tormented because they are impatient. They want the answer now. They want the breakthrough now. They want the healing now. But trusting God means trusting His timing. And His timing is always perfect. You may feel delayed, but you are never denied. You may feel like it's taking too long, but God is aligning things behind the scenes. He is moving people, shifting circumstances, preparing doors, and setting the stage so that when He acts, it will be undeniable that only God could have done it. Do not despise the waiting season, because in the waiting season, trust is forged. In the waiting season, you learn patience. In the waiting season, you discover what it means to depend fully on God. And when the breakthrough finally comes, it does not just bless you, it transforms you. It makes you a testimony for others. It makes you a light to those who are still waiting, still struggling, still crying. Maybe you are listening to this right now, and your heart is heavy. You are wondering, can God really fix my situation? Can God really heal my broken marriage? Can God really provide when the debt is so high? Can God really open doors when every door has been slammed shut? And the answer is yes. Not only can God fix your situation, but He will. Because God has never been defeated by human impossibility. What is impossible for man is natural for God. What is out of your control is always within His control. What terrifies you is nothing but dust under His authority. Stop magnifying the problem. Stop rehearsing the pain. Stop giving power to what is already under the feet of God. Instead, magnify the one who holds the universe in His hand. Magnify the one who brings the sun up every morning. Magnify the one who gives breath to your lungs. Magnify the one who opens the seas, moves mountains, and raises valleys. Because when you magnify God, your problem begins to shrink. When you magnify God, you stop trembling before men and start walking with courage. When you magnify God, you realize that your situation is not bigger than Him. There are some listening to me right now who are broken by past mistakes. You think God cannot fix your situation because you ruined it with your own hands. You made wrong choices. You trusted the wrong people. You took the wrong path. And now you feel like you are disqualified from His help. But hear this, God's mercy is bigger than your mistakes. God's power is greater than your failures. If you will humble yourself and trust Him, He will not only fix your situation, He will redeem your past and make your pain a platform for His glory. This is the difference between human effort and divine power. Human effort can only go so far. Human effort is bound by limits. by resources, by time. But divine power is limitless. Divine power is not restricted by your failures, by your past, by your enemies, by your lack. Divine power breaks chains, lifts burdens, restores years that were lost, and creates rivers in deserts. When you trust God, you place yourself under that limitless power. And let me tell you something, trust will always be tested. You cannot say you trust God without being put into a situation where your trust is stretched. Sometimes He allows the storm not to destroy you, but to reveal whether you trust Him in the darkness as much as you claim to in the light. Do not be surprised when trials come. They are not signs of abandonment. They are opportunities for trust. They are the places where God proves Himself faithful. They are the classrooms where your faith matures. So today, make a decision. Not tomorrow. Not when everything feels comfortable. Today, decide to trust God with every part of your life. Trust Him with your finances. Trust Him with your health. Trust Him with your relationships. Trust Him with your future. Trust Him with the things you understand and the things that make no sense at all. Because when you hand over everything into His hands, you will see Him move in ways that will leave you speechless. When you truly trust God, you stop measuring your future by the pain of your past. You stop looking at what happened yesterday as a limit for what can happen tomorrow. Because trusting God means you believe that no wound is too deep for Him to heal. No mistake is too big for Him to redeem. No mountain is too high for Him to move. The very thing that once brought you to your knees in tears can become the testimony that lifts you up in triumph. When God steps in, what once looked like a dead end becomes a doorway into a greater season of your life. But here is the truth. Trust is not natural to the human heart. Our instinct is to control, to plan, to calculate, to analyze every outcome. We want to know exactly how things will unfold before we feel safe enough to rest. Yet God calls us into a higher way of living, a way where we release control and place our full weight on His strength. Trusting God means walking even when you don't see the path, believing even when you don't feel the answer, holding on even when you feel like letting go. It is choosing to believe that His wisdom surpasses yours and that His plans is always greater than anything you could design for yourself. Do you know why God sometimes allows you to face problems that are bigger than you? It is not to destroy you. It is to teach you to lean on Him. If everything in your life could be solved with money, with connections, with skills, you would never need faith. You would never need trust. But when God places you in a position where no human help is enough, where no solution seems possible, that is when His power becomes undeniable. That is when you realize that trust is not an option. It is the only way forward. Trust is the bridge between your present struggle and your future victory. Without trust, you remain stuck in fear. Without trust, you keep circling the same mountain of anxiety. Without trust, you drown in despair. But with trust, you can walk through fire and not be burned, through waters and not be drowned, through valleys and not be lost. Because when your trust is anchored in God, the storms may rage, but they cannot shake you. The winds may blow, but they cannot uproot you. The darkness may press in, but it cannot consume you. Understand this: trusting God does not mean you will never face trials. It means trials will never have the final word. Trusting God does not mean you will never feel weak. It means your weakness becomes the very place where His strength is revealed. Trusting God does not mean you will never be hurt. It means that even in your hurt, He will bring healing, comfort, and restoration that far exceeds the pain. So many people think their situation is too complicated for God. They say, my debt is too big, my sickness is too advanced, my family is too broken, my mistakes are too heavy. But let me tell you this: there is no scale that can measure God's power. There is no equation that can calculate His ability. There is no problem that can stand as a giant before the Creator of the universe. If He can bring order out of chaos, if He can call light out of darkness, if He can set the stars in place and command the seas to stop at the shore, then surely He can handle your situation. Do not underestimate what God can do. Sometimes the greatest obstacle to your breakthrough is not the size of your problem, but the smallness of your trust. You see your situation as impossible, but God sees it as an opportunity to reveal His greatness. You see a dead end, but God sees the beginning of a new chapter. You see brokenness, but God sees the material for a miracle. That is why you must lift your eyes off the problem and fix them on the One who holds all power in His hand. There is another dimension of trust that many overlook: trusting God with the unknown. You may not know how things will work out, but you must believe that He already knows the end from the beginning. He is not guessing. He is not scrambling for solutions. He already has the answer prepared before you even face the question. Your worry does not add wisdom to His plan. It only robs your heart of peace. When you trust God with the unknown, you begin to live with a calm assurance that even if you do not see every detail, He is working out something far greater than you can imagine. And let me tell you this: sometimes God allows delays not to frustrate you, but to protect you. What you think is a setback may actually be a shield. What you think is a missed opportunity may actually be His way of saving you from disaster. You cry because the door didn't open, but you don't see that behind that door was harm. You panic because something ended, but you don't realize that ending was the only way to redirect you towards something far greater. Trust means believing that even when you don't understand, God's hand is guiding you, guarding you, and preparing you for something better. Trust in God is not just about waiting for Him to fix your situation. It's also about aligning your heart with His wisdom during the process. When you trust Him, you stop fighting against what He is doing and you start cooperating with it. You stop resisting the pruning, the stretching, the refining, and you start embracing them as part of the preparation for your breakthrough. Because every trial, every challenge, every delay has a purpose. Nothing is wasted in the hands of God. Some of you are wondering, why hasn't God fixed my situation yet? And I want you to hear this with clarity. Sometimes the situation is not changing because God is first changing you. He is strengthening your character, deepening your faith, teaching you perseverance, and preparing you to handle the blessing when it comes. Because what good is it if He fixes the problem, but you are not strong enough to carry the solution? What good is it if He opens the door, but you are not ready to walk through it? Trust means believing that even in the waiting, God is working for your good. You may be in the middle of a storm, but the storm is not the end. You may be surrounded by enemies, but enemies are not the end. You may be pressed down by burdens, but burdens are not the end. The end belongs to God, and He has declared that your end will not be defeat, but victory. When you trust Him, you begin to live with that unshakable confidence. You wake up in the morning not with fear, but with expectation. You go through challenges not with despair, but with determination. You face giants not with trembling, but with courage, because you know that God has already written the final word, and that word is deliverance. Trust is the most powerful declaration of your faith. When you trust God, you are saying, I refuse to be defined by what I see. I choose to be defined by what God has promised. I refuse to be controlled by fear. I choose to walk in confidence. I refuse to be paralyzed by the unknown. I choose to rest in the assurance that God is my protector, my provider, my healer, and my deliverer. That kind of trust shakes the very foundations of doubt and positions you for divine breakthrough. And never forget, trust is not just for the good times. It is easy to trust God when everything is going well, when money is flowing, when relationships are peaceful, when health is strong. But true trust is revealed in the valley, not the mountaintop. True trust is tested when the night is darkest, when the tears are heaviest, when the pain is sharpest. It is in those moments when you declare, even here, even now, I will trust God, that heaven takes notice. That is when your faith becomes a fragrance before Him. That is when your life becomes a living testimony of His power. My beloved, listen carefully. You may not understand everything happening in your life right now, but you do not need to. You only need to know that God is faithful. You only need to know that His hand has never failed. You only need to know that He sees what you cannot see, He knows what you do not know, and He holds what you cannot hold. Do not measure His power by the size of your problem. Measure your problem by the greatness of your God, and you will realize that what terrifies you is nothing compared to the one who created heaven and earth. This moment is not an accident. You are hearing these words because God is calling you to rise above fear and walk into a deeper trust. He is calling you to release what you have been holding on to so tightly. Your worries, your doubts, your sleepless nights, your broken heart, and to place them into His hands once and for all. He is calling you to stop living as if you are abandoned and start living as if you are carried by His power. So here is my challenge to you. Make the decision today, right here, right now, that you will trust God with everything. Not halfway, not in some areas while clinging to others. No, give it all to Him. Trust Him with your past. Trust Him with your present. Trust Him with your future. Trust Him with the things you understand and the things that make no sense. Trust Him when the path is clear, and trust Him when the path is hidden in fog. Trust Him in the sunshine and trust Him in the storm. Trust Him when you feel strong and trust Him when you feel weak. Lift your head, open your heart, and declare it boldly. I will not live as a prisoner of fear. I will not be ruled by despair. I will not be defined by my circumstances. I will trust God, and I will watch Him fix my situation. Say it until it burns within you. Say it until every doubt trembles. Say it until every fear is silenced. Say it until your spirit rises with unshakable confidence. Walk out of this moment with courage. Walk out with faith. Walk out knowing that God is already working on your behalf, already aligning things in your favor, already preparing doors you cannot see. Do not wait for tomorrow to believe. Do not wait for evidence to have confidence. Stand today as one who knows that when God is on your side, no darkness can prevail, no chain can hold you, and no situation is beyond His power to fix. The time has come. No more hesitation, no more fear, no more doubting. Trust God and watch with your own eyes how He turns your tears into joy, your weakness into strength, your lack into abundance, and your battle into victory. Let your life become a testimony that shouts to the world, those who trust in God will never be disappointed.